Okay, so get this, right? We're going deep today. Imagine you're in a hotel room, Istanbul. You drop something, bend down to pick it up, and bam, you find a manuscript tucked under the bed.
Intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not like, your typical thriller you'd find in an airport bookstore.
Not at all.
This one is titled Cyclonopedia. Dense, academic jargon, cryptic notes, and there's even, get this, a bunch of weird objects tucked inside.
Sounds like something out of a Dan Brown novel, almost.
Right. It's like giving me serious National Treasure vibes, you know?
I could see that, yeah.
So we've got this Cyclonopedia manuscript,
Okay.
but along with it, there's a box with a bracelet, an old postcard of Istanbul, faded Turkish writing on it, can't really make it out. Oh, and even a business card for a computer repair shop.
A computer repair shop?
Yeah, called Vega Computers, in a place called Maltepe.
These objects, though, they don't seem random.
Yeah.
They feel more like, clues, woven into the manuscript itself, leading us deeper into Cyclonopedia.
On the rabbit hole, right.
Precisely, down the rabbit hole.
And speaking of rabbit holes, the manuscript, right, it's attributed to someone named Reza Negarestani.
Negarestani.
But you try finding anything about them online. Good luck. It's like trying to, track a ghost.
A phantom author.
Totally.
Adds to the mystery, doesn't it?
Yeah. I did find one article referencing a work similar title to one mentioned in the manuscript, but even that was weird.
How so?
The text replaced with a message, "This page is not available," it said. And the author's comments, super cryptic.
That deliberate obscurity, it definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the author's intentions.
Right.
Is Reza Negarestani even a real name? And if they're going through such lengths to remain hidden, well, what does that tell us about the information they're sharing?
Good point. The mystery, it starts even before you open the manuscript, So should we jump into some of the key concepts from Cyclonopedia?
Absolutely. Let's start with one of the most thought-provoking, the whole complex, or, as it's also referred to in the manuscript, Karizgar.
Whole complex. Okay, what's that all about?
Imagine, right, Earth, not as a passive planet, but as an entity, actively fighting back against the sun's dominance.
Oh.
And how it does this is through holes.
Holes? Like what kind of holes?
Oil fields, mines, volcanic vents. Yeah. Essentially anywhere where its porous structure is exposed.
Okay, hold on. So we're not talking about typical environmentalism here, right?
Right.
This is Earth as a cosmic warrior using holes as weapons in some war against the sun.
You got it.
Wow.
It really flips the script, doesn't it, on how we typically view our planet. The manuscript even ties this concept to Lovecraftian horror.
Lovecraftian horror.
Suggesting that these holes could be gateways for ancient, unimaginable beings to enter our world.
Okay, now that's officially creepy.
It is a bit unsettling.
But it also makes you think about those other items we found, right, with the manuscript. Like that photocopy of the book, Tomb for 500,000 Soldiers. That doesn't exactly scream light reading.
It does add to the unsettling vibe for sure. These clues, though, they point toward the connection between, the physical world and the forces Cyclonopedia describes.
Right.
And that leads us to another key concept, Tellurian insurgency.
Okay, so if the whole complex is like the battlefield, what's Tellurian insurgency?
Think of it as Earth's rebellion strategy. The manuscript claims that petroleum, is a key weapon in this insurgency. It's not just a resource. It's described as a sentient entity, a kind of Tellurian lube driving Earth's fight against the sun.
Whoa, so you're saying that the oil that powers our cars, our industries, it's like a secret weapon wielded by Earth itself?
It's a radical concept, isn't it?
This is some next level stuff.
It is. And the manuscript goes even further, suggesting this Tellurian insurgency isn't confined to some abstract cosmic realm. It's playing out right here, right now, in the geopolitics of the Middle East.
So you're saying the conflicts, the things we see happening in the Middle East, they're not just about human actors, political ideologies, but are actually driven by Earth's deep, chaotic forces working through oil.
It's a thought-provoking perspective, to say the least. It challenges us to look beyond those conventional explanations for global events.
Mind officially blown. I need a minute to process all of this, but before we go any further, we need to talk about this concept of hidden writing, because it seems like the key to unlocking, the rest of Cyclonopedia.
Hidden writing. It's all about reading between the lines, so to speak, looking for inconsistencies, plot holes.
Okay.
Understanding that the surface narrative, it might be a distraction, concealing deeper hidden agendas.
So we're supposed to be like, what, detectives looking for clues, questioning everything, piecing together the real story, kind of like what we're doing with this whole manuscript situation,
Right.
right?
Exactly. The manuscript argues that this approach, it isn't just for deciphering texts. It's crucial for understanding the complexities of the world around us, especially regions like the Middle East, where so much happens beneath the surface.
Okay, so hidden writing. It's our decoder ring for Cyclonopedia.
Hmm.
This is getting seriously meta.
What's fascinating is that the manuscript itself, it seems to embody hidden writing. The objects, the author's hidden identity, the nonlinear arguments, it's all designed to make us think, to actively engage with the material.
So we're not just reading Cyclonopedia, we're like experiencing it. This is an escape room for the mind.
And just like an escape room, it requires us to be active participants, to piece together the clues, question our assumptions, and ultimately draw our own conclusions.
All right, challenge accepted. So hidden writing is our guide. Now let's talk about some of those other symbols, concepts from Cyclonopedia. One that really stood out was all the talk about dust, and not just the kind you find under your couch.
Ah, yes, dust.
Right.
In Cyclonopedia, it's more than just a nuisance. It's a symbol of, well, decay, degeneration, and the Middle East's unique relationship with it, connected to ancient curses, biblical plagues, even the potential for dust to be, weaponized.
Wait, dust as a weapon? Like what, a weaponized sandstorm?
Not quite a sandstorm, no. But the manuscript suggests that dust's fine particles could be used to spread disease or disrupt technology.
That's a chilling thought.
It is, especially given the Middle East's vulnerability to dust storms and, well, desertification.
Definitely chilling.
Ugh.
And speaking of chilling,
Cool.
the manuscript mentions this demon, Pazuzu, who seems to be connected to plagues and dust as well.
Pazuzu, fascinating figure. Mesopotamian mythology. He's the demon of the southwest wind, often depicted with, well, let's just say, grotesque features.
Okay. Grotesque how?
Including a snake-headed penis.
Okay, that's a visual I wasn't expecting. What's the connection between Pazuzu and all this talk about dust and plagues?
The manuscript describes Pazuzu as a gatekeeper to the outside.
The outside.
A realm so alien, so chaotic, it defies, really, our understanding. And it's through those holes, remember, those points of weakness, that Pazuzu and the forces he represents can enter our world.
So Pazuzu, with his unique anatomy, he's like a key.
Yeah.
That unlocks this door to the outside.
That's one way to put it. And the manuscript suggests the more we try to, shut out the outside, the more desperately it tries to break through, using things like dust, plagues, even our own anxieties as weapons.
Whoa, okay. That's enough existential dread for one day. Maybe we should move on to something a little, I don't know, lighter.
Perhaps, though lighter might not be the right word when discussing Cyclonopedia. But how about we explore the concept of taqiyya? It's an Islamic practice, but the manuscript uses it in a rather fascinating way.
Okay, sure. Let's hear it. What's taqiyya, and how does it fit into all of this?
Taqiyya is the practice of concealing one's beliefs to avoid danger. But the manuscript, it uses it as a metaphor for modern warfare. It's not always about, open battles. It's about subterfuge, infiltration, blurring the lines between enemy and ally.
So in the context of Cyclonopedia, taqiyya, it's less about religion and more about strategy, deception.
Exactly. Using camouflage and cunning to, undermine the enemy from within. Just like Earth uses those holes to stage its insurgency, taqiyya suggests that conflict, it operates on multiple levels, often hidden from plain sight.
Wow, that's pretty insightful. Cyclonopedia really does make you rethink everything.
And we're just getting started. The manuscript, it takes this idea of war being more than just, open conflict, even further when it starts talking about war as an autonomous entity.
Hold on, are we talking about like war as a being with its own agenda?
That's precisely what the manuscript suggests. It claims that war, it exists independent of human control, creating and destroying war machines like, some kind of cosmic horror show.
Okay, that's both fascinating and terrifying. But how does war as an entity fit into this whole picture? Earth's insurgency and the outside.
The manuscript connects this idea to the Assyrian Lamassu complex, these ancient statues, winged bulls, human heads, believed to be guardians against evil.
I've seen those, yeah.
It argues that the Lamassu represent war's tendency to, consume its own creations, constantly perpetuating itself even as it destroys everything in its path.
So in the world of Cyclonopedia, war isn't just a result of human actions, it's like a force of nature.
A cosmic entity that we're all caught up in.
Okay, I need a breather. This is all getting a bit heavy. Can we maybe shift gears to something a little more, I don't know, ethereal? The manuscript also mentions something called solar rattle. What's that all about?
Solar rattle. It's described as a sonic phenomenon
Yeah.
caused by solar storms. Imagine, right, these powerful solar emissions disrupting communication systems, creating strange and unsettling sounds, even driving people to madness.
Wait, so we're talking about actual sounds from space? That can mess with our technology, our minds.
According to the manuscript, yes. It claims that these sonic anomalies, that they've been reported by radio operators during wartime, and that they can have a profound psychological impact.
This is all starting to sound like, I don't know, some sci-fi horror film.
It does have that element to it.
But it also makes you wonder if there are, I don't know, forces at work in the universe that we can't even begin to comprehend.
Exactly. And that sense of awe and terror, in the face of the unknown, it's a recurring theme in Cyclonopedia. It challenges us to consider the possibility that, well, we're not at the top of the cosmic food chain, so to speak. That there might be forces beyond our understanding shaping our world in ways we can't even imagine.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. And maybe a little freaked out, but mostly intrigued. What else does Cyclonopedia have to say about these cosmic forces?
Well, it delves into this fascinating concept of dracolatry and hydroglyph, which is basically serpent worship through language.
Serpent worship through language. Now, that's something I haven't heard before.
The manuscript claims that Middle Eastern alphabets, with their curving serpentine shapes, the lack of vowels, are a form of, well, writing with the Middle East, reflecting the region's deep connection to the serpentine forces of chaos and creation.
So the way these languages are written, it actually embodies something deeper about the region's culture, history.
Precisely. And the manuscript goes even further, suggesting these alphabets are disentanglements of complex, chaotic forces, like a way of, well, taming the wild energies of the outside,
Yeah.
channeling them into something, creative and meaningful.
Wow, it's like the language itself is carrying some kind of ancient power. This cyclopedia is full of surprises.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered a lot of ground for now.
We have. But believe me, we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to unpack here. From ancient Mesopotamian myths to the, well, disturbingly relevant commentary on modern geopolitics.
Well, I'm definitely hooked. We'll need to dive back into Cyclonopedia to make sense of it all.
I agree. There are still so many layers to uncover, and I, for one, can't wait to see what other secrets this enigmatic manuscript holds. That postcard of Istanbul, the faded one we found with the manuscript, it might be more than just a, tourist keepsake. The manuscript, it actually delves into ancient Mesopotamian myths
Oh, right.
and connects them to the modern Middle East. Specifically, there's this deity, Zervan.
Zervan, yeah.
Uh,
The manuscript describes him as, like, androgynous, serpent-like. And get this, he gives birth to both Ahura Mazda, the god of light and goodness, and Ahriman, the god of darkness and evil.
a cosmic family feud.
Totally. It's like, I don't know, the ultimate battle of good versus evil, right? Playing out on a cosmic scale.
And what's fascinating is how the manuscript links Zervan to that concept of the outside we talked about.
Right, right.
It suggests that Zervan's dualistic nature, this tension between good and evil, light and darkness, it reflects the very struggle between the order of our world and the chaotic forces beyond.
So Zervan represents both the creative and destructive forces of the universe, like a cosmic yin and yang, constantly, I don't know, pushing and pulling against each other.
Exactly. And the manuscript argues this duality is key to understanding the complexities of the Middle East.
Okay.
It's a region where those opposing forces are constantly clashing, merging, much like the opposing forces within Zervan himself.
It's like the region itself is a microcosm of this cosmic struggle, right?
Yeah.
Between order and chaos that Zervan embodies. And speaking of chaos, the manuscript also draws a connection between Zervan's serpent-like form and the curving shapes of those Middle Eastern alphabets.
You've
right?
seen the patterns. The manuscript suggests this deep connection between language, mythology, and the region's unique relationship to the outside, hinting that those serpentine alphabets, they might be more than just a way of writing. They could be a way of, well, channeling those ancient chaotic forces.
Whoa, okay. This cyclopedia, it's like a giant jigsaw puzzle, and every piece connects to another in some, I don't know, unexpected way.
That interconnectedness, it's what makes it so compelling. It's not just throwing out random ideas, it's weaving a complex tapestry of thought, challenging us to, see the world in a new light.
Okay, so let's keep pulling on these threads and see where they lead us. Earlier, we talked about how the manuscript connects oil to the geopolitics of the Middle East, right?
Right.
But it also seems to have a lot to say about the relationship between oil and Islamic apocalypticism.
This is where the manuscript gets particularly interesting and potentially controversial. It argues that the Islamic concept of jihad, or holy war, is intrinsically linked to oil's influence.
Hold on, isn't that a pretty bold claim? It sounds like the manuscript is, I don't know, walking a fine line here.
It is, and it's crucial to remember that the manuscript isn't endorsing this viewpoint.
Right.
It's simply presenting it as one interpretation, a way of understanding how oil might be shaping not just the political landscape, but also the religious and ideological beliefs of the region.
Okay, that's an important distinction. So what's the argument connecting oil and jihad?
The manuscript suggests that those apocalyptic beliefs of, well, some extremist groups are fueled by this idea of oil as a tool for achieving, a kind of cosmic cleansing, a purification. They see the depletion of oil as a sign of the end times and believe that by using oil as a weapon, they can hasten the arrival of a new world order.
Wow, that's intense. So the manuscript is saying that oil, it's more than just fuel, it's become a symbol of like both destruction and salvation.
Exactly. And that symbolic power, that ability to evoke such, strong emotions, beliefs, it's something we need to grapple with. If we want to understand the complexities of the Middle East, it's not just about land or resources, it's about deeply ingrained ideologies that have become, well, entangled with the very substance that powers our modern world.
So you're saying that we in the West, with our, insatiable appetite for oil, are kind of unwittingly playing a role in this apocalyptic drama.
Yes.
That we're not just passive observers, but active participants,
Yeah.
even if we're not fully aware of the consequences.
Precisely. The manuscript challenges us to acknowledge our, well, complicity in the forces that are shaping our world. Even if those forces are, terrifying or beyond our control, we can't just turn a blind eye. We have to confront them head on if we want to find a way forward.
Okay, you're right. The Cyclonopedia is making me see the world in a whole new light. It's like, I don't know, someone pulled back the curtain and revealed all the dark, chaotic machinery running things behind the scenes.
And remember that business card for the computer repair shop?
Yeah.
It might be connected to this very idea. The manuscript, it introduces a concept called the cross of Act,
Okay.
a sort of diagram or map of these chaotic forces we've been discussing.
Oh, yeah, the cross of Act. It's described as a broken star with triangles mounted on a decagon, right?
That's it.
What's the significance of that symbol?
The manuscript connects it to the Middle East's resistance to global hegemony, suggesting that the cross, it embodies the region's unique relationship to chaos and its ability to generate new and often, well, unsettling forms of power.
So it's like a symbol of the Middle East's power to disrupt the established order, right? Like a symbol of rebellion against the, the global systems that try to control the region.
That's one interpretation. The manuscript also links the cross of Act to, you guessed it, oil, suggesting that its discovery and exploitation has unleashed those chaotic forces on a global scale. Remember how the business card mentioned Vega computers? The manuscript, it hints that technology, especially computer networks, might be playing a role in, well, amplifying these chaotic forces.
It's like Cyclonopedia is saying that we're not just dealing with, ancient myths and symbols here, but with forces that are embedded in our modern world, shaping everything from, geopolitics to technology.
Exactly. And that's where the idea of the numogram comes in.
Okay.
It's described as a kind of numerical map of reality, a way of understanding the hidden connections between, numbers, events, even different dimensions. The manuscript suggests that the numogram, like a computer program, can be used to, well, decode and even manipulate these chaotic forces.
Wait, so we're talking about using math to, like, hack reality. That's some next level stuff. And how does that, computer repair shop fit into all of this?
That's the mystery, isn't it? The manuscript doesn't offer any easy answers, but it does suggest that places like that computer repair shop, seemingly, mundane and ordinary, might be, well, points of convergence for these hidden forces, places where the digital and the cosmic, they intersect.
This is all starting to feel very Matrix,
Yeah.
Are you telling me that we might be living in a simulated reality?
Yeah.
Controlled by some I don't know, ancient code.
The manuscript doesn't go that far, but it does challenge us to reconsider the nature of reality itself and to be open to the possibility that, well, things are not always as they seem.
My head is spinning.
Yeah.
Cyclonopedia is, without a doubt, the most mind-bending thing I've ever encountered.
And we're not done yet. There's still so much more to uncover.
Well, I'm ready to dive back into the manuscript, see what other secrets it holds.
Mm.
This deep dive, it's getting more and more intriguing with every turn.
That bracelet, remember? The one tucked away in the box?
Yeah.
Yeah, the manuscript connects it to the numogram, suggesting it might be, well, more than just jewelry. It could be a key to unlocking the secrets of this this numerical map of reality.
So we're talking about using math to, like, navigate those chaotic sources of the universe.
Yeah.
This is getting very Da Vinci Code, you know?
It's even more complex than that. The manuscript describes the numogram as a system for understanding those hidden connections between numbers, events, even, well, different dimensions.
So it's like, a cosmic cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Revealing, I don't know, hidden patterns, connections we wouldn't normally see.
Exactly. The manuscript suggests that the numogram is a way of understanding the language of the outside, a way of decoding the forces that shape, well, our world. And remember Pazuzu, that demon.
Oh, yeah, with the
snake-headed penis.
Right, that's the one.
The manuscript, it connects him to the numogram, suggesting he's not just a mythological figure, but a numerical gateway to this other realm.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty trippy. So by understanding the numogram, we might be able to, I don't know, tap into these hidden forces, maybe even control them.
The manuscript hints at that possibility, yeah. It suggests that the numogram is a tool, a weapon even, that can be used to direct that flow of chaotic energy. And, you know, remember how the manuscript mentioned Vega computers on that business card?
Uh-huh.
Some scholars believe it might be a reference to the Vega star system, which is associated with magic and, well, hidden knowledge in, you know, certain esoteric traditions.
So we're talking, what, ancient magic meets modern technology.
It's a wild combination, isn't it?
That's crazy.
And that brings us to another key concept from the manuscript, this idea of decay. Decay as a source of power.
Hold on, how can decay be powerful? Isn't it usually associated with, like, weakness, decline?
That's our typical Western perspective. But the manuscript, it argues that decay isn't just about things falling apart. It's about transformation, renewal. Think of, I don't know, a compost heap.
Oh,
it's full of decaying matter, right?
Yeah.
But it's also, well, a breeding ground for new life.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. So the manuscript is saying that there's power in the process of breaking down, of letting go of, I don't know, old forms to make way for the new.
Precisely. And the manuscript, it connects this idea of decay to the Middle East, suggesting that the region, with its long history of, you know, empires rising and falling, understands this cycle of death and rebirth better than any other.
So it's like the Middle East is constantly being, I don't know, reshaped by these cycles of decay and renewal, which in a way gives it a unique resilience power.
Exactly. And the manuscript suggests this process, it's accelerating. On a global scale, thanks in part to, well, our insatiable appetite for oil, by extracting and consuming oil, we're not just, you know, fueling our economies, we're also fueling those fires of decay and transformation, potentially pushing, you know, the entire planet towards a new and unpredictable state of being.
Okay, that's a pretty heavy thought. Makes you wonder what the future holds, you know, if we're caught in this cycle of, I don't know, accelerated decay.
The manuscript doesn't offer any easy answers, but it does challenge us to, well, to confront this reality head on. It suggests we can't just ignore these forces of decay. We have to understand them, work with them, and maybe even find a way to, you know, harness their power for positive change.
This whole deep dive, it's been, I don't know, a wild ride. What stands out to you as, like, the most important takeaway from Cyclonopedia?
I think for me, it's that challenge to our human-centered view of the world. The manuscript argues that, well, we're not the only players in this cosmic game, that there are forces at work that we can barely comprehend, let alone control.
I agree. It's both, I don't know, humbling and exhilarating, right?
Yeah.
To realize we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves.
It is, and it forces us to ask some tough questions about, you know, our place
Yeah.
in the universe. If we're not in control, then how do we act? Do we try to resist these forces, or do we find a way to, you know, work with them?
Those are big questions. And Cyclonopedia doesn't really give us, like, easy answers, but it does give us a new lens, right? A new lens to view the world, a lens that reveals those hidden connections between those ancient myths, modern geopolitics, and the forces that will shape our reality.
It's a manuscript that I think invites us to think differently, challenge our assumptions, and to embrace the mystery and complexity of the universe.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end our deep dive on. Cyclonopedia is a challenging read, but it's one that rewards, careful attention and open mind.
It's a text that stays with you long after you've finished reading it, prompting you to look at, well, the world around you with fresh eyes and to, question everything you thought you knew.
So to our listeners, I encourage you to, seek out Cyclonopedia and draw your own conclusions. But be warned, it's a journey into the heart of darkness, and it might just change, well, the way you see the world forever.